Hello sewing friends! Today's video is a little extra special because I'm collaborating with Whitney of TomKat Stitchery. One of the best parts about a collaboration like this is that you get to see how the same pattern can take on completely different personalities depending on the fabric choices, the styling, and little design nuances along the way. I've known and loved Whitney's channel for years now, even before I started creating my own YouTube content. If you love detailed, informative sewing instruction and following along with popular patterns, Whitney's channel is an absolute must-watch. And here she is to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Whitney, creator of TomKat Stitchery, both the YouTube channel and www.tomkatstitchery.com, where we seek to educate, inspire, and engage with the online garment sewing community. I would love to have you come join me over on my channel where I do a ton of capsule wardrobe garment sewing, as well as sew-alongs, techniques, tutorials, all of the things. Hope to see you over there. And thank you, Mari, for inviting me to do this collaboration.
So today we'll both be sewing the Tilda Blouse, a beautiful free pattern from Maison Fauve. I started by sewing a toile in a red poly twill using the long sleeve version, but I made a slight tweak to the sleeve pleats, sewing them right sides together for a more subtle finish. I love how this version turned out. This deep red is bold and cheery. For my final version, I sewed my pleats the standard way as the pattern intends and went with the short sleeves in a medium weight linen, and the construction is exactly the same for the long or short sleeves. This fabric has a much more casual vibe, and who doesn't love the classic look and comfort of linen? I'm looking forward to checking out Whitney's version as well, so be sure to head over to TomKat Stitchery so you can see it too. I'll link her channel below. Now let's get right into sewing the Tilda Blouse. Here is the right side of the front bodice piece, and we're going to prepare to sew the pleats. On your front bodice pattern piece, you'll see the pleat markings. Here is the center fold, so there will be 3 pleats on each side of the fold. I'm going to take something sharp and pointy to poke a hole through the bottom of either side of the pleats. I'm just poking a hole through the outermost lines, not bothering with the center point. Now that I've poked a hole through the bottom points of each outer line of the pleats, I'll snip into the tops of each of the outer lines with my scissors, just creating tiny notches. Now I'll place the pattern template onto my fabric. Through the holes that I punched into the paper, I'm going to mark each of those outer pleat lines along the bottom, making sure once again that you're making these markings onto the right side of your fabric. And at the notches, I'll mark the tops of each outer line. Repeating on both sides. Then I can take a ruler to connect each of the notch points with its corresponding bottom dot. We're going to pin each of the pleats as you would a dart, folding them in half wrong sides together and pinning through one line and out the other. I'm going to do the first one here, then do the rest at the machine as I sew. Now that I have that first pleat pinned, I'm going to take it to the machine and sew from the top to the point. I like to sew with my regular default stitch length from the top to about a ½ inch away from the dot. Then I'll reduce the stitch length to sew to the bottom dot and backstitch to secure. This will help prevent any puckering at the bottom of each of your pleats. Once you've carefully sewn each of your pleats one by one at the sewing machine, once again reducing your stitch length toward the bottom section of each pleat, take it to your ironing board and press each triplet of pleats toward the outer seam, using the tip of your iron to press the bottoms of those pleats. Here is one of my back bodice pieces. I'm going to take both of my pieces to the serger and finish those back raw edges. Now I'll take the 2 back pieces and place them right sides together. Pin together from the notch on your pattern, which indicates the bottom of the center back opening, to the bottom of the bodice. sew from the notch to the bottom of the garment with a 5/8 inch seam allowance back stitching at the beginning and end of your stitches. I've gone ahead and pressed open that center back seam, also pressing the top unsewn portion edges to the wrong side by 5/8 of an inch. Now we're going to prepare the button loop piece. I've cut a piece of scrap fabric measuring roughly 4.5 inches by 1 3/4 inches. And I've also cut a piece of thin cording longer than my strip. With the cord in the center, I'm going to fold my fabric right sides together. And with that cord sandwiched at the top folded edge of my fabric, I'm going to sew across the top edge of the cord to secure. With that piece of cording now secured at the top, I'm going to fold this piece in half once again, still right sides together, keeping that cording inside at the center fold. Now I'll sew with about a 1/2 inch to a 5/8 inch seam allowance along the cording. Then we can trim our seam allowance about 1/8 of an inch away from our stitches. Begin pulling the bottom of the cord and assist the top edge to enter inside the tube. This will turn our button loop right side out. Then we can cut off to remove the cording. If you like, you can also top stitch this piece to make it quite flat. Here is my back left bodice piece as worn. I'm going to open out that seam allowance. And I'm going to place the cording at the top about 5/8 of an inch away from the top raw edge. Using your button as a guide, you can adjust the length of the strip so that once we have it sewn at the seam allowance, it will just fit through the loop. Place the edges of the loop at the finished edges of that center back opening and pin in place. Then I'll baste the edges of the loop in place. Here are my neckline facing pieces, and I've gone ahead and applied interfacing to each piece to the wrong side. Now I'll place these pieces right sides together at the shoulders. Sew the shoulder seams with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and press the seams open. Now I'm going to take this attached facing piece to my serger and finish the raw edges along the bottom curve. Place the front and back bodice pieces right sides together at the shoulder seams and pin in place. Sew these seams with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, finish the raw edges together and press the seam toward the back. Here are my front and back bodice pieces opened out at the shoulder seams with the right side of the fabric facing me. I'm going to place the facing right sides together with the neckline, aligning the outer unfinished edge of the facing with the finished edge of the center back, and aligning the shoulder seams to pin all the way around. Then we can sew around the neckline from center back to center back with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. We're also going to sew vertically along the center back edges with a 5/8 inch seam allowance on both sides. Now that the facing is sewn to the neckline, we can understitch the facing. Turn the facing out and away from the seam allowance we just created. Then we're going to sew the facing to its seam allowance underneath with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance from center back to center back. As you approach those center back edges, you won't be able to sew all the way to the point, So just sew as far as you can on both sides. Trim the center back corners of the seam allowances. Turn those center back corners right side out. Turn the facing completely inside the neckline. If you like, you can use a needle and thread to sew a few hand stitches at each of the shoulder seam allowances. Sewing that bottom finished edge of the facing to the seam allowance only and not through the front of the bodice. Give the neckline a good press. Now we're ready to attach the button at the center back. Hand sewing it across from the button loop. Now we can sew our side seams. Place your front and back bodice pieces right sides together at the side seams. Pin each of your side seams. We'll sew each of our side seams with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, finish the raw edges together and press toward the back just as we did for the shoulder seams. For each of the sleeves, we're going to mark, pin, sew, and press in the same exact way as we did for the neckline. I've gone ahead and marked each of my lines from the pattern piece. Now I'll pin in place, making sure you're folding the fabric wrong sides together. Now that my sleeve pleats are complete, I'm going to sew my basting stitches along the sleeve cap, from single notch to single notch, leaving thread tails at both ends so I have threads to pull for gathering. Before I do the same to gather the bottom edge of the sleeve, I'm going to fold it right sides together, pin the side seam, sew with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, finish the raw edges, and press toward the back of the sleeve. Now I can sew my basting stitches around the entire bottom raw edge with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance from seam to seam, once again leaving thread tails on both sides of the seam. Here is one of my cuff pieces, and I've gone ahead and interfaced the wrong side. I'm going to fold this piece right sides together along the short edges and sew the short edge with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and press the seam open. All the way around one long edge, I'm going to fold it to the wrong side by 3/8 of an inch and give that a press. Then I'm ready to attach the raw unpressed edge to the sleeve. I'm going to mark the center of my cuff piece. I'll place that right sides together with the center of the sleeve in between the two sets of pleats, aligning the raw edges. And I'll place the seam of the cuff at the seam of the sleeve and pin in place. Pull the gathering stitches on either side of the bottom of the sleeve to fit it in place and pin. Once the cuff is attached to your gathered sleeve bottom, you can sew all the way around with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Then to finish the cuff with the seam that we just created pressed toward the cuff, we'll fold the cuff piece in half wrong sides together so that the fold of the cuff covers the seam line we just created. I'm going to pin in place from the outside. Now that I have my cuff pinned all the way around and I've caught the inner fold in my pins, sew from the outside about 1/8 of an inch away from the seam we just created earlier. Here is my bodice turned inside out. and my sleeve turned right side out. I'm going to place the sleeve inside its corresponding armhole, aligning the notches. Align the underarm seams and the notch at the top of the sleeve to the shoulder and pin in place. I'm also going to pin from the underarm seam to each of the single notches where our basting began earlier. Now that that's pinned, we can pull the basting stitches that we basted earlier to fit the sleeve cap. And pin in place. Then we'll sew all the way around to attach the sleeve with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and finish the raw edges together. Repeat to attach both sleeves. The last step is to hem the blouse. I've gone ahead and pre-pressed that hem to the wrong side, folding it twice to the wrong side by 3/8 of an inch. Then we're going to edge stitch close to the inner upper fold all the way around. And now the Tilda blouse is complete. Thank you for watching this sew along. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future sewing tutorials, and I'll see you in the next video.